All right, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Nutanix Flow webinar. Everybody see the slides up on the screen?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you. So we make sure we record it correctly. So, just sort of a quick intro to everybody. Security, for a long time has been top of mind. I've actually got a background in networking and security myself. And these are security breaches just in the 21st century alone. And some of these are really big, right? Target was a big one. Sony PlayStation Network was huge in terms of people getting access to a lot of, movies, personal information, stuff like that. TGX was a big one. So we can, anyway, just wanted to point out that this is a reality that we all live in. It's really not even if, but when. I threw in Capital One on there as well because that was also a recent breach that was really, really big. So, and again, part of this is how do we protect that, right? Especially in a virtual world where things have changed. How do we continue to be cloud ready, easily deployed, but still not break security? And because the infrastructure model has changed over the years, it can be a challenge, right? So again, I won't belabor the point too much, but breaches cost a lot of money. A lot more CVEs are out there than ever before, and data, right? This is no longer hackers trying to gain fame or notoriety or denial of service. This is all about getting personal information to get at credit cards, money, finances, stuff like that. So everything out there is much more financially motivated than it ever was. And what's hard about this is, okay, we've got sort of a shrinking perimeter, right? If you're doing a hybrid cloud or an on-prem private hybrid or an on-prem private cloud, the perimeter is really where all your VMs hook on to the internet, right? And typical appliance-based firewall models can really only secure your north-south traffic. The sophistication of the attacks is much higher. And usually now attackers will try to get in, penetrate a target, and then wait for a long time and slowly gather information. So sometimes these things can go on for 6 months or a year before they're even noticed. And then there's complexity, right? There's different ways to do your applications. A lot of people are now going over to a cloud-ready microservices or container strategy. And again, you've got stuff in the public cloud, you've got stuff in the hybrid cloud. And everything today is a lot different in terms of infrastructure than it used to be, the traditional 3-tier and perimeter firewall model. So again, not to belabor the point, current state is we got traditional perimeter-based approaches, appliance-based firewalls. Security policies are generally, for the most part, still manual and static, things like source and destination IP, TCP ports, et cetera. And that's where network-based segmentation, as opposed to a policy or a VM or application-based segmentation, as well as application visibility, right? A lot of people don't know what their apps are doing, especially in a virtual world. People are turning up VMs all over the place all the time, and it becomes difficult to know just what's going on underneath there. So what do we really need? What's the what does good look like, right? And that's you need to secure all your VMs no matter where they are in the stack. Automation is key to any cloud environment, right? Whether it's infrastructure as code, self-service portals, spinning up and spinning down VMs out there. It's all going to be automated these days. And the more you automate, the easier stuff is to secure because you've got less human error. I don't know if anybody remembers a while ago, Amazon had a brief outage, and it was because one of their operators had and an experienced person too, had mistyped a command, and that brought down a lot of their infrastructure. So the more automation you can and the less humans are involved in your security, the better off you are. Plus, it costs a lot less to do that. Really want to get rid of network-based and ports and stuff like that, and go more into application-based segmentation, VM-based, because those are the things that are important to the business that you want to secure, right? Enough of this VLAN/network approach to security, and then real-time visibility as well. So what's going on in my network? Right, that's sometimes a difficult thing with a lot of different applications. So we try to make that less complicated. So again, perimeter security, traditional perimeter. Once you're in, it's kind of like the shell on an M&M. There's a soft candy center, and once attackers get inside, it's game over. Right, they can kind of go from segment to segment and look for what they're after in your network. So the old way of doing things does not work very well, and so we've got this new concept or approach called microsegmentation, and what that is it's segmenting traffic down to the application or the VM level inside of a virtualized environment, right? So it doesn't matter hardware. It doesn't matter, about securing the entire perimeter. It's all about your applications and down to the VM level, and then segmentation and isolation of those VMs. So securing your infrastructure the way you've built it, right? So now we can do automated policy, as well as enabling VMs to get spun up, spun down, or even move from different groups. You might have a bunch of VMs in dev or testing that eventually will become ready to go into the production environment, and it's really simple to move them to a different environment, and immediately they will inherit the security rules of that environment without having to go back and figure out what network they're connected to, and maybe you make a mistake, or maybe you miss some ports that the application needs to run. Again, it solves a lot of complexity by automating and using application-centric security. So Nutanix Flow is one of our add-on software features to the Nutanix hybrid cloud infrastructure. And what it brings is a stateful firewall, always there. Policy creation we're going to get into in the demo, very easy to apply and create policy. And again, it's going after VMs that do certain functions that are part of applications, and we don't have to deal with a lot of network. You won't see me type in network addresses, masking, or ports for the most part. You can use our built-in policy management right in Prism, and automated updates too. So for change management, again, we'll show you categories, we'll show you VMs in the demo. And again, here's a quick example of the policy engine, but in this case, we're saying, look, only web servers can talk to our internal databases. Databases are usually part of the high value targets inside an organization. So we're saying, look, we can only talk these groups, these ports, and we group VMs by their function. So if I want to spin up 3 new web servers, they'll inherit the web server security policy, and they'll be able to talk to the databases. Nothing else can, no matter what VMs you spin up. As long as they don't come up in the web server group, you're not touching the database. And that's really important, as opposed to some of the other traditional ways to do it via VLAN. You configure a VLAN wrong, and again, it's game over, because that particular virtual machine can talk to other virtual machines that maybe you don't want it to. So, centralized policy management. And again, I don't want to talk to this too much. I just want to bring it up. But Prism, which is, to those of you familiar with Nutanix, is our web-based single pane of glass to manage your entire infrastructure. So storage, network, virtualization, VMs, metrics, a lot of those things. And as we come out with new features like Flow, we put them into Prism. And a lot of the more sophisticated ones like Flow go into Prism Central, which again, for those new to Nutanix, it's a version of Prism that actually manages multi-clusters and has a lot of the advanced features like app deployment as well as security with Flow. And again, we're app-centric. We're decoupled from networking. Here's just another slide. You've got different VLANs, and some VMs can go in different VLANs, but it's their role, it's their application role that's more important here. In this case, again, it's only web and database, and I think a lot of this is going to come out in the demo anyway. So, don't necessarily need to spend a lot of time on that slide. But what's nice too is you got a group of VMs, let's say in web, and you've added a new feature where the web servers need to talk to another set of middleware servers. Once you change that single policy, every VM that's in that group, and you can categorize them multiple different ways, as we'll show you, will inherit that policy, and you won't have to touch tons and tons of separate VMs. So, as long as you do a little bit of careful planning up front, the security will fall into place, and it's easy to not only apply, but also make changes on the fly to your security. And it's all automatable as well, just like everything. So if we automate, in this case, create a new VM in category web, it'll immediately inherit those properties of and privileges of the web servers, who can talk to them, as well as where they can go in the network. And this last piece, when Flow first came out, I got asked about this a lot. And it's a very, in fact, I've even sold products that have this particular feature as a paid for single piece. And that's what's going on in my network. I remember talking to one of the admins. They were building out Nutanix DMZ. And he said, well, geez, Flow sounds great, but how do I know what's going on? Because there are a lot of ports open and applications running that I'm not even sure if I know it all. And what's really cool about Flow is you can set it up in monitor mode first. So sit down, figure out your rules, and apply them. And again, we'll show you this. And it'll actually tell you, what is a normal state in your environment. And then you can, once you apply your network rules, it only is going to allow the flows that have been identified as good, right, as part of the application. And that's really, really key. So it helps a lot with policy creation up front. It'll give you a feel for what's going on in your network. And then visualization, which is another piece of that. Not only do we tell you what's going on, but we tell you, okay, what are the flows we recognize, which ones are being blocked if you're doing actual apply mode versus monitor mode, and where are they coming from? Who are they talking to? And so inbound and outbound, you can actually get an instant visual view of who's talking to who on what ports, what are they doing, and you can also do logging as well, just like a standard firewall. So pretty cool feature of Flow, and one of my favorite ones. All right, so I'm going to take a quick pause. I just wanted to try to get through the slides to give you guys some background. Any questions out there? I go back to switch sharing. We have a live lab. And I'm going to do Chrome. All right. Can you guys see web browser okay? I know you guys are probably muted. Make sure you can see this as well.
Hey, Chris, I actually stepped away from that.
Okay. Is this coming through? No worries. Yeah. Can you see the Prism screen right now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure it kicked over. Thanks, Ben. All right, so this is Prism, and again, we have our own lab that we're fortunate to have in New England, and we've got Flow running on that. So I've got a Prism element, which is the cluster-wide view, and here's a view of Prism Central. So in Prism Central, the first thing that I wanted to point out is microsegmentation isn't necessarily new out there, but it's new in terms of adoption. And one of the things that slowed adoption quite a bit is complexity. It's very difficult in other environments, and I'll point it out just because it's a lot of our customers and a lot of people in the world still run VMware as their hypervisor. And in order to get microsegmentation on VMware, you need to buy a product called NSX. And a lot of the feedback we found from our customers is that it was difficult to configure and very, very involved. Really what most people want. Now, it has a lot of features besides microsegmentation, so I wanted to make that clear, whereas Flow has a focus really on microsegmentation. And the reason we did it that way is because, honestly, that's what the vast majority of everybody out there really wants right away. They want to just get to microsegmentation and not have to spend a lot of extra time architecting their network and the upstream switches and segmentation on the inside. They really just want to secure their applications and go. And and again, anybody familiar with Nutanix out there knows that since we were founded, eliminating complexity is a really big piece of what we do and is key to our philosophy. So with that, in order to get microsegmentation to work in your environment, okay, we go to Prism Central. And basically, now again, I've already set it up because we're going to do a demo today, but if you didn't have it set up, microsegmentation would not have a checkbox on it. All you have to do in a new environment to enable microsegmentation is check this box. And boom, it'll take a few minutes to install the proper software on your system, and you're good to go. Now we can do microsegmentation. So that's about as simple as it gets, kind of our one-click philosophy. So I wanted to get that out of the way. Another key piece to all this is setting it up, right? How do you actually set up policies and categorize your VMs and your applications out there? And so we introduced right about the time we did Flow is categories. So in our virtual infrastructure now, I'll just show you guys some examples of categories. You get some system categories that are canned with the environment or with Prism Central and Flow. One of them is an environment. So, and a good example of that is test dev versus prod, right? Those are usually or DMZ, those are usually the three main environments we see. You can also create your own custom tags for these categories. And you can even make your own categories with your own values. So we give you a lot of what we thought was very common out there in terms of categories and policies. You can totally make your own. It's okay, right? So, and anyway, so some of these are networks. There's a quarantine environment too, so that if you do find some bad actors out there, you can immediately quarantine them and then do your analysis from there. So that's another handy feature too. You can actually drop any VM that you find violating policy right into a quarantine VM. And what I'm going to do is just give you an example, right? I'm going to go to our VM list. Flow here. Just to keep it easy, I've okay. Here is for the Flow demo, I've got a custom application server. Okay. If I go to my VM list, I'm in the wrong screen. Go to my VM list. And again, you can filter on any VMs you want. So you might, a lot of customers we see have a naming convention, filter it on the naming convention. And then what you can do is in a bulk operation, or you can do it as a one-off like I'm doing right here. You can actually manage categories. So any VM can be in multiple categories, okay? In this particular case, I actually made under the system level app type category, I made a thing called Custom App Flow Demo, right? Not necessarily the most creative name, but hey. So I just wanted to show you how easy it was to put in categories. I can also do a search on all the categories I have set up, and I could also do multiple categories as well. And I actually won't do that right now. I'm just going to cancel. I don't want to mess up my demo here, but it's just a quick search, and you can search on the type, in this case, an environment, or you could actually search on the category value and quickly add categories to VMs. And you can do it in bulk. You can do it single, or when you do things like self-service portals with our, especially with our Calm software, you can actually, as you spin up a new database, you can automatically put it in the database category. You can automatically put it in prod or dev. So what's really cool is everything in Prism has an API. We actually build Prism on our own APIs. So everything you see today can be totally customized and automated, which I think is another key feature about Nutanix. So again, I'm not going to apply that category because it's already in the category I want. So let's go back to Prism Central and let's dig into some policies here, some security policies, right? And I got a couple. Some of them, like quarantine, come with the system anyway. And then I've created a couple right here. Okay, so we'll do the, this is just a custom application right now. What's really cool is we've got, for the initial policy that I had set up, I've got anything that is in the Flow demo prod environment allowed to talk to the custom app, and then I let everything go outbound. So policies, and I'll actually, it's not what I wanted. Back to Prism Central. I'm trying to find the little policy viewer here. There we go. This comes up. I already had this built out, but this window comes up when you first create a policy, just to remind you of how it works, right? And the layout is pretty simple, and the concept is pretty simple. You get your inbound traffic, what categories, what VMs, and you can do a network if you want to. You notice that there's some subnets listed in there. So in the case of where you actually know that certain things are on a subnet, maybe it's a DMZ or a test deb, you still can use that with subnet masking to block, or allow incoming traffic. It doesn't necessarily have to be an environment or a category or an application. It can still be network-based. A lot of people will use the categories, though, to make it easier to read, as well as more flexible in terms of your VMs and what you've got segmented. So then your app is always in the middle, and then there's a section outbound. So a lot of times outbound isn't necessarily as critical as monitoring stuff inbound. But in some cases, you do want to restrict where applications go, what it can send to. So anyway, this is just a little mini tutorial thing that comes up when you first do an application and a security policy. So this is always pretty interesting. So I've got a quick visualization now. So in this particular case, I've got a rule built, right? And the rule is for TCP from our production environment, I'm going to allow 80 and 443 common web ports, right? And this goes to my custom app, and then destinations are all over there. Now, there's a lot of ones that's in blue because that's the policy that I have set on the particular security policy. However, look at all these other not only subnets but places that are things I've defined. There's a custom app here, as well as the prod environment. In this case, I do allow stuff from the prod environment, but only on those two TCP ports I just named. If you notice, there's actually pings coming. It's ICMP code 8, as well as DNS, right? I've got UDP 53 coming in to this server, and I've also got some, looks like some SMB or NetBIOS traffic. So what's nice is right now I'm in what they call monitor mode. So I'm not actually blocking any of this stuff. It's just watching and telling me what's going on right now and what flows it finds. And we're going to, as part of this demo, we're going to go into monitor versus apply mode. And apply means actually take that security policy and start enforcing it. Right now, we're just watching, right? We're not doing that. So, and if you see here, I've got the apply now button as well as the save and monitor button. If I save and monitor, it's going to actually start blocking traffic. I'm going to do a different demo in a second with a different environment because I've got specific apps set up that we can actually show when I change the policy from monitor to apply. It'll show those flows and how they're blocked. In this case, I really just wanted to show, I have this set up for a lot of different traffic types, and I wanted you guys to see the traffic types. Got a Windows 10 environment here. Scan. See if I can generate some more flows and traffic as well. It'll take a few minutes to pick up. So let's, now that you guys have I'm going to go into apply right now. So we've actually kicked that off. That was a demo for a custom application, right? Fairly simple one-tier app. Typically, you'd have a web and a database as well. And we can actually, and I can show you that after this, is tiering of applications too. So within an application, you can actually also segment that so that layers, specific VMs and groups or subgroups of an application, you can control who those particular VMs talk to as well. So in this particular case, and if you notice too, there are small numbers in the boxes that those actually mean VMs, right, that are in those particular categories. So in the system, again, because this is a fairly simplistic lab environment, I've only got one VM that's coming from my prod environment, and I've got one application server. We didn't really need to build tons and tons of sophisticated applications to demo the power of this. So from the client, which is in my prod flow demo, and this is really cool, right? I've actually got an Nmap going just to generate a whole bunch of traffic. This is actually a Windows server, and they have a bazillion ports open anyway. So check this out. Look at all of the ports and traffic that I've detected just now from running that application on the side. So again, it's telling me what's going on in my network, and before I actually apply rules. So let's do this. Right now, I've got 8443 and DNS on UDP port 53 allowed to the server. Standard web traffic. Anything else, I'm not going to allow, right? So we're going to go back here to our Windows 10 box, and this is in the production environment. So that little one is this VM right here, okay? What I'm going to do now is start up a ping to continuous ping, right? Already in monitor mode. Let me just double check the IP on that, you guys. I might be 74. There we go. Had the wrong IP in there. I was doing some work on this yesterday. So again, I've got something from the production environment that's doing a ping. Now that wasn't allowed in my policy, but because I'm only in monitor mode and I'm not in apply mode, it's not going to block me off yet, right? So let's open up a browser, okay? And let's go to that same address. So I'm pinging that server. I'm actually sample application on there, okay? So, and this is all an internal address, right? This 1042.160.74 is this particular server right here in my environment. So that's my distribution app. I got this little fake app running. Again, I can ping it and I can web into it. So now what happens is I go back here, and instead of doing a monitor, which is monitoring everything right now that's going on in my environment, I'm going to apply. Okay, and if I go to apply, okay, it actually makes you do this. It's kind of nice that it actually makes you type in apply or monitor, just because it's one last check. It's kind of the, are you sure you want to do this? Because this will enforce rules, and it could break apps. So with any privilege, with any power also becomes responsibility, as they say, right? So now I've updated the policy so that I'm only allowing web traffic and DNS traffic to this app server, no pings. So web still works. My ping is not working. Can you guys see the Windows 10, by the way? When I go to it, that window, and activate it? It's to the audience. Pull up one more note here. You guys are still out there?
I am. I'm just opening up now, so
okay.
I can see.
Can you see the Windows 10 as well as the security policy?
see Windows 10 Lab Client, and then the policies behind it.
Okay, good. You see them both. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you could see both, right? So,
yeah.
okay. This is actually going to a different server. So when you talk about a specific server, see, this is a great example of how humans can make errors, right? IP addresses are harder to remember than categories. So right now, this ping to the server is not going through. This Windows server here, now we've got IIS as opposed to my my other fake distribution app. I switched servers and I didn't switch my IPs. So right now, I'm not getting pings. Why? But I still am getting web. That's because in this policy, I'm only allowing web and DNS traffic. So if I actually update this and I go into got it. Go here. I'm going to do save and monitor as opposed to apply. Now, instead of apply, I'm going to switch. Well, it didn't ask me to go to monitor mode then. Let's go back to our client. And what you should see here is pings start to work because I've now undone that policy and I'm in monitor mode. Go to give it a second. Switch this policy to monitor. You can tell the red are actually blocked, the blue are allowed, and now because we're switching back to monitor, you still see all the once red flows that are now yellow for stuff they detect, right? So if I go back to my ping, okay, it works now. Whereas because I'm in monitor mode, and if I go to that web server, go back. This is its main address, right? So the IIS server works, the ping works. Back to my policy, 80 and 443. Okay, now if I go to apply this policy, I'm sure you guys all know what's going to happen because we just saw it. Do this. Okay, policy's updated. All of these yellow flows it's detected will turn red because they're being blocked. You see, there you go. Now they're all being blocked. You see the little no smoking sign. And so if I go, again, web server still works. Go over here, though, to my ping, and it is now timed out. So that's a quick and dirty way to make sure that the policy right now is working. And if I go back, what will happen is, and again, you guys have noticed too, I have to go monitor or apply anytime I want to make a change. And again, that's to make sure you know what you're doing before you do it. And you can't accidentally mouse click it and get in trouble with your boss. And right away, the pings come back. So right now, I'm just in monitor mode. Nothing's blocked over here. Pings come back. So again, very easy to, all I did here was create a category, put my Windows 10 client in my prod environment, and I've got my custom app server over here. And this guy is just got a simple web server, and again for demo purposes. But you could make groups of servers that were web, database, forensics, anything that you need, right? You could do groups of applications and which ones they talk to. So that's really how Flow works in a nutshell. So let me pause for a second here. I'm actually running a little bit ahead of time, which is probably okay. Anybody have any questions? Stuff that they want to see, because WebExes are always better with interaction, right? And actually, all my attendees are Nutanix folks. So you can ask questions too, guys, if you want. This is where I would normally stop and get some customer interaction. I tried to build in, some for the demo, some for slides, but less, try to focus mostly on the demo, and then some for customer questions.
I think it was great that you can go back and forth the way you showed that, how easy it was to change it. And it's very visual for them to see it start and stop.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Darren. Nice to know there's some intelligent life out there. Just kidding. All you guys are intelligent, right?
Ouch. That hurt.
Just wanted to see if you were paying attention. And you are.
Well done, though, Chris.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. I might even trim down the slides a little more and add some more stuff to this, because I think
I liked it though, because I thought I think you did a great job of explaining, why microsegmentation exists in our product, right?
Yeah, cool. I guess one thing I didn't mention that I meant to, I was looking back at my notes, is this only works on AHV. So, and that's because NSX is part of the VMware kernel, and they don't allow us to mess with their kernel, and so we can only do it on our own hypervisor. The added benefit of that, though, is not only is AHV included in your system, but Flow is not as expensive as NSX is, and it's, as you guys have seen, way easier to run. And another. Oh yeah, go.
I was gonna say, would it be worthwhile of showing, you're showing a basic, like, look, here's a server, stop and flows. You don't have to show obviously a working version, but like a screenshot of a more complex environment.
Yeah. To tell you the truth, I could probably mock it up pretty good too. But yeah, like a multi-layer with web and database. Because I've noticed I just don't have time to do it for this, but we've got real database servers out there, right, Dan, with Era, and we've, web servers are fairly easy to spun up. I spun all this stuff up yesterday, so we could do like a multi-tiered application as well. But yeah, maybe
it's more, more powerful than the basic.
Yeah, than the basics. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, most people they get psyched about the monitor mode as well as the the quick sizzle with the ping test. But yeah, that's a good feedback. Thanks. All right. Well, hopefully you guys registered for the free Thanksgiving turkey this time. No Suffolk Construction was on, Dan. They missed out. Maybe it's because it wasn't a lunch; it was a turkey this time. They didn't want to do that. Anyway, yeah, might have had to drop, but cool. Hey, so anyway, this is recorded. As soon as it's done, I'll post it. If you guys want to do this demo yourselves, I have a write-up that I'll send everybody. I'll just throw it in our Slack channel, and it's on our lab environment. So it's a really easy demo to do for quick and dirty.
Awesome.
I'm going to give you guys 15 minutes of your life back, huh?
Awesome. Thank you. Good job.
Guys. Thanks a lot for joining. Would have felt really bad if it was nobody.
We're here for you.
Thanks, guys.